Thank you, John and Cynthia. You guys are terrific fighters. My name's Doug Mackey, and in 7 days after Joe Biden was inaugurated, I got a knock on the door, 7 a.m., 4 FBI agents and multiple other police officers, and they said they had a warrant for my arrest. I said, for what? And they didn't tell me right away. Later on, I learned that 4 years earlier, during 2016, I was perusing the internet, saw a meme that I thought was funny, and shared it on Twitter. It said that Hillary Clinton supporters wouldn't have to go to the polls. They could just text their vote in from the couch. So this was funny. After I shared the meme, they actually suspended my Twitter account, and this got some minor press from Wired and CNN. But at the same time, I kind of forgot about the whole thing. So what happened in my case is I was charged and convicted under conspiracy against rights, a novel interpretation of statute, just like they've done to President Trump and so many others, where they're overcharging, they're twisting statutes, they're taking cases where there's no real evidence of a crime, but they're investigating you in extremely abusive and intrusive investigations. So in my case, for sharing a meme, they send us the discovery, and all my paychecks are in there, all of my lease agreements. And it's like, how do they get all this stuff? It's crazy, all my email accounts, everything. So I was convicted. We fought the case and just recently won an acquittal. The case wasn't merely dismissed. We actually won an acquittal at the appellate court. Yeah. So I was very pleased about that. But my case was kind of a textbook case of lawfare and weaponization, which is, I see it as lawfare as being the illegitimate use of the law for political purposes and against political opponents. In my case, they felt like I had an influential Twitter account during 2016, and they also felt that disinformation and misinformation were the reasons why Hillary Clinton won the election, and they thought that disinformation, misinformation was probably coming from Russia. So this is sort of the conspiracy theory that became the basis for my prosecution. And obviously they didn't find anything of the sort, but that didn't stop them from filing charges. And then what is weaponization? Well, that's using these levers of power, DOJ or state and local prosecutorial offices, to conduct the lawfare. So in service of political objectives, to take political enemies off the board. So in my case, they used the Klan Act of 1871, which is a law that was passed because
which they used in President Trump's case too.
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
Yeah, they tried it on me first, then they tried it on President Trump. Exactly. I was the test dummy. So this law was passed for people who were injuring, harassing, intimidating, or threatening people who are exercising their federal rights. Of course, they can come up with interpretations for the word injure however they want. So in my case, this meme, they said, was injuring people who were trying to vote. They went around Brooklyn. I was tried in the EDNY, which includes Brooklyn and Long Island and Queens, that kind of thing. I was tried over there, even though I had no connection to this district. They said that the tweet went over the wire surrounding the water around Brooklyn and Manhattan. That gave them venue to bring the case. They said that they didn't have to put a single person that was injured on the witness stand. They went around the district, knocking on people's doors, asking them, "Did you see this meme? Did you vote? Did you vote in 2016? Did you believe this meme?" They couldn't find a single person, and we know because we demanded the 302s, which is just jargon for FBI interview reports. The targets are picked regardless of whether there's evidence of a crime. The investigations, we know, like I said, are intrusive and abusive. And now the Senate Republicans are finding that out, aren't they? With Judge Boasberg illegally authorizing surveillance on them or getting their phone records. So the Republicans are getting a little taste of it now to what happened with Trump and MAGA. Of course, they're overcharging to try to get convictions or plea deals. In my case, it was a federal felony. The maximum sentence was 10 years. I was charged I was sentenced to 7 months in prison, and the judge, we moved immediately for a appeal bond. Well, this is the problem with the judges. There was no basis for the judge in the law to deny my appeal bond because we had a good appeal. They had a number of reasons for the appeal. And the sentence being 7 months, by the time the appeal would have been decided, I would have been already served 7 months in federal prison. Yet she denied it. What does that mean? Well, you have to spend however much money, $50,000 or whatever, just to go to the appellate court to get them to uphold the law. So that's what we had to do. And of course, the process is the punishment. There's all sorts of abusive process and due process violations. I will speak only on about the EDNY, but many of the judges there, they treat the prosecutors like their children, and they pat them on the head and they say, they treat the defense, like the naughty kids in class. So in my case, we felt like that the prosecution had misled the court because, get this, they found a guy who happened to be in a group chat with me who could be a confidential informant, or he actually became a cooperating witness. They wanted to allow him to testify under a pseudonym. So they told the court there was risk that he could be harassed online, and God forbid people send him tweets or whatever. So he was actually allowed to testify under a pseudonym. We claimed that they misled the court, and the judge didn't even care at all. I mean, she actually avoided it because she didn't even want to touch it. This happens all the time where you move the court to do something, and they deny you, but they don't even investigate. They don't even question the prosecution. They just find out why they don't have to. The use of media via leaking. So in my case, they leaked to Reuters details and all kinds of things. So they leak to the media to try to set narratives. They also work hand in hand with the media or do the bidding of media to identify targets. A lot of the criminal complaint against me was sourced from an article in the Huffington Post, where they take that article and then conduct their investigation. So even if you're innocent, this imposes enormous costs. We have filed a tort claim with the DOJ to try to recover legal fees and damages and everything else. So we're hoping that goes well. We're hoping that the DOJ is going to be cooperative. But like I said, extremely expensive. And we know that when Barack Obama started this sue and settle thing where liberal groups would sue the government, and they would just give them a massive settlement. Now, if you recall, once Biden got into office, he immediately settled cases with some of these FBI people who were prosecuted. I can't remember the names exactly, and give them $1 million. And so, and a lot of Republicans, quite frankly, they don't want to do it. They say, "Oh, we're above that. We shouldn't do that." Well, the fact is that many people are victims of weaponization and lost millions of dollars in legal fees, all kinds of lost job opportunities, everything else. So why shouldn't we have restitution? I think that could go a long way. So I want to say thank you, John, and thank you, Cynthia, for being here. And that's all I've got for now. Yes, John.
Doug, how many people saw your tweet and believed it was real and then tried to vote by text instead of going to the polls?
Yeah, great question. So the New York Times put out this flashy headline that said 4,900 Democrats were tricked out of voting. And that's a complete twisting of what was in the criminal complaint. So what happened is 4,900 people texted the number. And they didn't prove that a single person actually believed it. Well, why is that? Well, I sent out the tweet from an account, maybe 10,000 followers. Very few people saw it. Most of my audience would have been in on the joke, gotten the joke. And a couple hundred people texted the number. And then Wired and CNN said, "Oh my God, this is a massive attempt to influence the election." They publicized the meme, and if you look at the timeline, then 4,500 other people went and texted the number, and they went and interviewed people in the district. Not a single person that they could identify, and I don't believe a single person exists, that actually believed the meme, texted it in, and then failed to vote. So this is just how they twist these things and work hand in hand with the media to try to set narratives that don't actually hold up in court.